My name is Jessica Abbott. I'm 32, I live in Melbourne, and 3 months ago I flew 4 hours to watch my little sister get married and never made it through the door. But it didn't start at the wedding. It started with a phone call, a favour, and a signature I should have never given. Joanna got engaged in April. She was 24, fresh out of her marketing degree, still living 10 minutes from mum and dad in Kalara Creek, a small town in regional Queensland, where the pub closes at 9 and everyone knows your name before you've introduced yourself. She FaceTimed me on a Thursday evening while I was finishing dinner. Her fiancé was Archer Hodgson. His family owned the largest restaurant and events group in the region, 3 venues, a catering arm, and a function hire business that did everything from school formals to corporate dinners. Old Queensland money. The Hodgsons had built their name over 2 generations, and they protected it carefully. Joanna was glowing. Archer stood behind her, grinning. I said, "Joe, that's incredible. I'm so happy for you." And I meant it. Then I heard Mum, Tasha, in the background. She leaned into frame, smiled at me. That smile, the one that looks warm until you've seen it enough times to know it isn't. "Jess, isn't it exciting?" "It really is. I'll start looking at flights." A pause. "Oh, don't stress yourself. It's going to be a small thing." It was not going to be a small thing. 2 weeks later, Mum called me directly, not Joanna. Mum, on a Wednesday morning, which meant she'd been thinking about it since the night before. "Jess, I need to ask something practical." There it was. The restaurant group handling the wedding required a credit card and a named account holder to lock in the booking. Same for the photographer, the florist, and the hire company supplying the furniture and lighting for the outdoor reception. Dad, Norman, had a rough stretch after a bad season with the property. Joanna had no credit history to speak of, and Mum said the Hodgsons expected everything to be sorted before they'd confirmed the date. "You've got the stable income," she said. "It's just your name on the paperwork. We'll sort the payments after, I promise." I'd heard that promise before. When I was 23, I co-signed a loan for Dad's work ute. Took me nearly 2 years to untangle that from my credit file. When I was 27, I sent Mum $1,500 for what she called a broken water pump. Joanna told me 6 months later it had paid for her Gold Coast trip. But this was my sister's wedding. So I said yes. 4 contracts, a total just under $38,000, deposits paid by me up front, $3,200 across all 4, the remaining balance due within 5 business days after the event. I signed everything that week, didn't read the fine print twice. Over the next 3 months, the wedding took shape, and I watched it happen from the outside. Joanna made a group chat. I wasn't in it. I found out when she accidentally forwarded me a message about table centerpiece options. I called twice to ask about the dress code and whether she wanted me to do a short speech. First call, "I'll get back to you." Second call, she let it ring out and texted an hour later, "Super busy, chat soon, X." No formal invitation ever arrived. Not printed, not digital. I told myself that was normal. You don't send your own sister an invitation. She's family. She's assumed. Then, 9 days before the wedding, Joanna posted a reel from the rehearsal dinner. Mum, Dad, the bridesmaids, Archer's whole family, laughing, dressed up, glasses raised. I wasn't there. I hadn't been told about it. I almost called, almost asked why, but I talked myself out of it. I set my alarm for 4 a.m. I had a flight to catch. Just getting there cost me $2,400. Flights, accommodation, Joanna's gift, a stand mixer she'd mentioned wanting months ago on a random FaceTime. When I landed and texted Mum to say I'd arrived, she sent back 4 words. "Ceremony at 2 p.m. tomorrow." No "can't wait to see you," no "come early," no "Dad's been asking about you." 4 words. I ironed my dress that night like I was preparing for something I needed to pass, because I was. What happened that next afternoon when I walked up to that entrance, I'm going to tell you exactly how it went. But I want you to know one thing first. Mum knew I was coming. Joanna knew I was coming. Neither of them said a word to stop it. Saturday, 1:50 p.m. The venue was Ridgeline Estate, a working property just outside Beaumont Ridge that the Hodgson family used for private events. Manicured lawns, a covered outdoor terrace, long timber tables already set for 200 guests. It looked exactly like the kind of wedding that costs a lot of money, which I would know because I paid the deposit on it. I parked my hire car at the far end of the property. Other guests were already walking in, couples, families, people in good dresses holding cards and bottles of wine. I smoothed my dress, picked up Joanna's gift, and walked toward the entrance. I spotted Dad first. Norman was standing near the gate in a suit that didn't quite fit. He was shaking hands with someone I didn't recognize, Hodgson's side probably. When he looked up and saw me walking toward him, his face changed. The handshake smile dropped. He looked at me, then at the ground, then turned and walked inside without a word. Not a wave, not a nod, nothing. I kept walking. 10 meters from the entrance, the door opened and Mum stepped out. Tasha was dressed in champagne, hair done, makeup done, hands clasped in front of her like she'd been waiting. She stopped directly in my path. Jess? Hi, Mum. I made it. She didn't hug me. She didn't move aside. You need to leave. I stopped. The gift box felt heavier than it was. What? I flew 4 hours. Keep your voice down. People are watching. Mum, I'm your daughter. She stepped closer, voice low, controlled. This is a family event. You weren't invited. I stood there on that gravel path holding a gift I'd wrapped the night before in my hotel room. Before I could say anything else, a voice came from inside. Warm, steady, the kind of voice that runs things. Tasha, everything all right out there? Avery Hodgson stepped through the door. She was Archer's mother, mid-50s, linen dress, the kind of calm that comes from running a successful business for 20 years. She looked at Mum, then at me. She smiled, open, polite. Tasha, who's this? Mum switched on instantly. Oh, it's nothing, distant cousin. She's got the wrong day. Avery looked at me again, steady, waiting. Mum had told the Hodgsons she had one daughter, just Joanna. Avery didn't know I existed, and now she was standing 3 feet away looking at a woman who had the same eyes as Tasha Abbott and the wrong name tag. Right, Avery said slowly. Well, we're about to start. You should probably sort this out. She touched Mum's arm briefly and went back inside. The door swung shut. Mum looked at me. No guilt, no hesitation, just a face waiting for me to disappear. You told them you only have one daughter. She didn't answer. How long have you been doing that? Still nothing. I looked past her, through the gap in the door, white chairs in rows, string lights across the terrace, the restaurant group staff moving between tables, the same company whose contract had my name and card number on it. Every single thing in that room had my signature behind it, and I wasn't allowed inside. I didn't walk through the door. I didn't make a speech in the middle of the ceremony. I didn't say Avery's name out loud and explain exactly who I was. I crouched down and placed Joanna's gift on the step. That's for Jo, I said. Mum's shoulders dropped slightly. She thought it was over. Thank you, Jess. This is really... Don't. I stood up, turned around, and walked back down the path, past the other guests still arriving, past my hire car. I got in, closed the door, and sat there. The ceremony started. I could hear it faintly through the window. I cried the quiet kind,
chest shaking, mouth shut, the kind you learn when you've been told your whole life not to make a scene. After about 10 minutes, I started the engine. In the rearview mirror, Ridgeline Estate shrank behind me. I didn't slam anything. I didn't go back. I just left. And somewhere on that drive back to the hotel, I started doing the maths. $38,000. My name, their party, and I hadn't even made it to a seat. 3 days later, Mum called. Not to apologize. She called about the bill.
Sunday morning, Beaumont Ridge Motor Inn. I woke up to Joanna's Instagram. 12 photos. The ceremony, the reception, the family portrait. Mum, Dad, Joanna, Archer, Avery, and Samuel Hodgson. 6 people. 2 families joined together. The caption read, "Surrounded by everyone who matters, forever grateful." I read it twice. Then I opened my email. The invoices had come in overnight, automated, cheerful, each one with a 5-day payment deadline. Ridgeline Estate Events. Contract holder, Jessica Abbott. Deposit paid. Remaining balance, $14,200. Due Thursday. Harlow Catering Group. Contract holder, Jessica Abbott. Remaining balance, $11,800. Due Thursday. Petal and Grain Florist. Contract holder, Jessica Abbott. Remaining balance, $6,400. Due Thursday. Grayson Photography. Contract holder, Jessica Abbott. Remaining balance, $5,600. Due Thursday. $38,000. My name, their party, their photos, their caption. I sat on the edge of that bed and felt something shift. Not anger, not yet, something quieter, like a decision that had already been made somewhere in the back of my mind and was just now catching up with the rest of me. Sunday afternoon, Joanna left a voicemail. She didn't call, she left a message, like she was ticking off a task. "Hey Jess, so the wedding was just perfect. Everything looked amazing. Anyway, sorry things got a bit weird yesterday. Mum thought it was just easier this way, and honestly, looking back, I think she was probably right. It would have been a lot to explain. But seriously, thank you so much for helping with all the supplier stuff. You're the best big sis. Call me soon, okay? Love you." I listened to it twice. Sorry things got a bit weird. Not, "I'm sorry Mum turned you away at the door." Not, "I had no idea." She knew. She knew before the wedding. She knew Mum was going to turn me away, and she didn't stop it. And then, "You're the best big sis." I used to love hearing that. It used to feel like something real. Sitting in that hotel room, I heard it differently. She says it when she needs something. Only when she needs something. I didn't call back. I set my phone face down on the nightstand and stared at the ceiling. The invoices were due Thursday. My family had just told a room full of people I didn't exist, and my sister had left me a voicemail that basically said, "Thanks for paying." I had 4 days to decide what kind of person I was going to be. That night, I did something I probably should have done before signing anything. I searched what happens when you're the named contract holder for an event you didn't attend. The answer was consistent. The person whose name is on the contract holds the legal obligation, but that same person also holds the authority. I could authorize payment. I could also decline it and formally redirect the outstanding balance to the party who received the services. I picked up my phone, called Ridgeline Estate Events first. "Ridgeline Estate Events, this is Mel." "Hi Mel, my name is Jessica Abbott. I'm the contract holder for the Hodgson-Abbott wedding this past Saturday." "Oh yes, Miss Abbott. Beautiful event. What can I help you with?" I'm calling to let you know I won't be authorizing the final payment on this contract. I wasn't present at the event. I'm requesting the outstanding balance be redirected to the Abbott family in Beaumont." A pause. "Okay, I'll need to pass that to our manager, but can I ask, is there a dispute with the event itself?" "No dispute, I'm just not authorizing the charge." I gave her my email. She said someone would follow up Monday. I hung up and called Harlow Catering. Same script, same calm voice, same result. Then the florist. Then the photographer. 4 calls, 14 minutes total. I didn't raise my voice once. I just said no. Politely, clearly. 4 times. Then I closed my eyes and slept through the night for the first time in 3 days. Tuesday, 9 a.m. Queensland time. My phone rang. Mum. I let it ring 3 times, then I picked up. "Jess, hi honey." Light, sweet, the voice she uses when she wants something. "Listen, I just got a strange call from the venue. They said you've removed your payment authorization. The total is $38,000. How do we sort this out?" "You sort it out, Mum, not me." "Excuse me?" "I removed my authorization because I'm not responsible for an event I wasn't invited to." "Jess, don't be dramatic. This was just a misunderstanding. You told Avery Hodgson I was a distant cousin. You told them you only have one daughter. That's not a misunderstanding. That's a choice." Silence. Then the sweetness evaporated completely. "After everything I've done for you. You raised me. I'm grateful for that. But you also stood in front of your daughter and told a stranger she doesn't exist. Both of those things are true. You're blowing this out of proportion. $38,000. That's the proportion." She hung up again. I finished my tea, went back to work. 40 minutes later, she called back. Different tone entirely. "Do you have any idea what you've done? The venue is ringing me. The caterer is ringing me. I'm getting invoices forwarded to my email with your name crossed out and mine written in by hand. Do you know how humiliating that is?" "I imagine it's about as humiliating as being called a distant cousin at your own sister's wedding." "That is not the same." "You're right. Mine didn't cost $38,000. She went quiet. Then she found the card she always keeps in card. "Your father's blood pressure is through the roof over this. If something happens to him, that is on you, Jessica." Dad stood at that gate and watched me walk up. He turned around and went inside without a word. He made his choice too. She hung up again. I finished my tea, went back to work. By Wednesday, the whole family phone tree was activated. Joanna called, then Dad called, then someone I hadn't spoken to in 2 years called, and every single one of them hung up the moment I asked one honest question. Wednesday morning, Melbourne, my apartment. Joanna called first. Not calm, not composed. The big, messy kind of crying she's had on tap since she was 7 years old. "Jess, please, we just got married. We don't have $38,000. If you don't pay, we have to. We're literally just starting out, and you're going to ruin everything we're trying to build." "Joe, did you know Mum was going to tell the Hodgsons I don't exist?" A sniffle, a pause just long enough to answer the question before she spoke. "I mean, she said it would just be simpler. The Hodgsons are traditional, and having a sister overseas who isn't married yet, it was easier for the image they wanted to present. It wasn't personal, Jess." "You knew before the wedding." "I didn't think they'd actually turn you away at the door. I thought you'd just, I don't know, I thought it would be fine." "But you didn't check. You didn't call me. You didn't say anything." Silence. More sniffling. Then she pivoted. "Can we just focus on the bill right now? Archer's parents are already asking questions, and it's making things really tense." Maybe it's time someone gave them honest answers. She hung up. An hour later, Dad called. Norman almost never calls. He sends short emails about the weather or the state of origin. Hearing his voice on the phone felt strange. Jess, your mother is very upset. I know. Can you be flexible on this for the family? Dad, were you there when Mum called me a distant cousin right in front of me? A long exhale. That's not exactly, it's more complicated than, were you there, Dad? Nothing. Then a quiet click. He hung up. Every single one of them hung up when the questions got real. I was starting to see a pattern. A family that preferred silence over truth. Always had. Then came the call I didn't expect. Mum's older sister, my Aunt Avery, not Avery Hodgson, my actual Aunt Avery, Darlow, 61, retired school administrator from Toowoomba. The kind of woman who says exactly what she thinks and has never once apologised for it. Mum always called her difficult. Everyone else called her honest. Jess, I wasn't at the wedding, but I heard what happened. All of it. Are you okay? I told her everything. The blocked entrance, what Mum said, Avery Hodgson's question, Mum's answer. Silence on the line, long and deliberate. She told them you don't exist. She said she only has one daughter. Lord, a pause. Jess, listen to me. At the reception, your mother stood up during the toast and said, and I'm quoting this from someone who was there, our little family, Norman, myself, and our Joanna, introduced the Abbotts like that in front of the whole Hodgson side. I heard about it and I thought it was strange, but I didn't know the full picture. It's not your fault. No, it isn't. It's Tasha's, and she's going to hear about it from me. Another pause. Those contracts, the supplier contracts for the wedding, whose name are they under? Mine. All of them. Aunt Avery went quiet. When she spoke again, something had shifted in her voice, still angry, but with something harder underneath it. Then you listen to me. Your mother told a room full of people you don't exist. You don't owe that room a single cent. I didn't ask Aunt Avery to make any calls, but she did. Thursday morning, the same day the invoices were due, she rang Avery Hodgson directly, got the number from the wedding program she'd kept in her bag. I wasn't on that call. She told me about it afterward, and she did not spare the details. Avery, my name is Avery Darlow. I'm Tasha Abbott's older sister. We haven't met. I'm calling because there's something you need to know. The woman Tasha introduced as a distant cousin at the wedding, that was her firstborn daughter, Jessica. She's 32, she lives in Melbourne, she works in technology, and she's the one who signed every single supplier contract for that wedding. Avery Hodgson said nothing for a full 10 seconds. I beg your pardon? Tasha has 2 daughters, not one. Jessica flew 4 hours to be there, paid the deposits out of her own pocket, and Tasha stopped her at the gate and told her to leave because she'd been telling your family the Abbotts had only one daughter. Another silence. The kind that comes from a woman who built a business on knowing exactly who she's dealing with and just found out she didn't. Why would Tasha do that? You'd have to ask her, but I can tell you this. That girl flew 4 hours, signed every single contract, and still didn't make a scene when she was turned away. That's more grace than my sister deserved. Avery Hodgson thanked her, said she needed to make some calls, and hung up. The fuse was lit, and Beaumont Ridge was a very small town. By Friday, the story had moved through the town the way things always do in a place that size. The pub, the servo, the school pickup lane. Details shifted slightly with each retelling, but the core stayed the same. Tasha Abbott hid her eldest daughter, turned her away at the gate, then sent her the bill. Samuel Hodgson pulled Archer aside that same afternoon. Your wife has a sister. I know, Dad, it's complicated. It's not complicated. Someone signed $38,000 worth of contracts for your wedding, and your mother-in-law kicked her out the door. That's not complicated. That's a problem. Archer confronted Joanna that evening, their first real fight, 4 days into the marriage. You have an actual sister. She paid for our entire wedding, and your mum turned her away? It's a family thing, Archer. You don't understand the history. I understand that my parents think your family has one daughter, and that is apparently a lie. Joanna cried. Archer didn't. The Hodgsons would not be covering the $38,000. Samuel made that clear immediately. They hadn't signed the contracts. That was between the Abbotts and their suppliers. Joanna and Archer took out a personal loan. The Hodgsons co-signed it, not out of generosity, but because their family name was attached to the event and they wanted it resolved cleanly. The fairy tale wedding now had a monthly repayment attached to it. Mum called me one more time that week, Friday afternoon. You've humiliated this family. I didn't say anything, Mum. Your aunt did, same thing. Aunt Avery told the truth. If the truth is humiliating, that's not her fault. I built a life in this town, 30 years, and you've let that woman tear it apart over money. It was never about the money. She didn't respond to that, just breathed for a moment. Then she hung up. For the 4th time in 1 week, someone in my family ended a conversation the moment it got honest. I stopped being surprised. I sent 1 email that Friday night. 4 recipients, clean, no adjectives I didn't need, and then I closed the laptop and made a cup of tea. What happened after that? The thing Mum said 6 weeks later. What Dad did I never expected. That's in the final chapter.
Friday night, Melbourne, my apartment. I opened a new email. Recipients: Tasha Abbott, Norman Abbott, Joanna Caldwell. I drafted it once, deleted it. Too much emotion in it. Drafted again, still not right. 3rd attempt. Tasha, Norman, and Joanna. I have formally removed my payment authorization from all supplier contracts associated with Joanna's wedding. The outstanding balance of $38,000 has been redirected to you as the event hosts. I won't be discussing this further. I wish Joanna and Archer a wonderful marriage. Going forward, please don't contact me about financial matters. If any of you want a relationship with me, it starts with honesty, not invoices. Jessica. I read it 4 times. Checked the tone, made sure there was nothing in it that could be called cruel or petty. There wasn't. It was a boundary, clean as a line on a map. I hit send, closed the laptop, put the kettle on, and stood by the window. My apartment overlooks a small courtyard with a jacaranda tree that drops purple flowers all over the footpath below. It's not much, but it's mine. I pay the rent, I chose the furniture. Nobody here has ever told me I don't belong. For the first time in months, I felt the weight lift. I didn't write that email to hurt them. I wrote it so I'd stop hurting myself. 6 weeks later, Joanna sent a text. Long, rambling. I could almost hear her crying while typing it. Jess, I'm so sorry about everything. It all got out of hand. I didn't know Mum was going to say those things to the Hodgsons, I swear. Archer is still really angry with me. His parents are barely speaking to me. The loan repayments start next month and we're already stressed about the apartment. I know this is a lot to ask, but could you help with even part of the balance? Even a quarter? I'll pay you back, I promise. You're my big sis and I love you and I just really need help right now. I read it 3 times. I was looking for one specific thing. An apology for what happened at that gate. An acknowledgement that she knew and didn't stop it. One sentence that said, "What happened to you was wrong." It wasn't there.
The whole message was about Joanna's problems, Archer's anger, the loan, the Hodgson's cold shoulders. My pain wasn't mentioned once. She apologized for the mess, not for the wound. There's a difference. I typed back carefully. Joe, I'm sorry you're dealing with this. I really am. But I can't help financially. The boundary I set isn't about money. It's about being treated like family. Real family. Not the kind that gets erased when it's inconvenient. When you're ready to talk about that and not invoices, I'm here. She didn't respond that day. Or that week. I wasn't surprised. 2 months after the wedding, an email arrived from Dad. Norman Abbott does not email. When he does make contact, it's a short text about the weather or a rugby score. In 32 years, he has never written me anything longer than a birthday card. Subject line, from Dad. Jess. I know I should have said something that day at the gate. I didn't. I stood there while your mother handled it and I said nothing. I don't have a good reason for that. I was a coward. That's the truth. Your mother and I are working through the payments with the suppliers. We don't need anything from you. I'm writing because I wanted you to know I'm sorry. I should have walked you inside. I'll carry that. Dad. I read it 5 times. On my lunch break, on the tram home, once more sitting on my couch with the lights off. It wasn't perfect. It didn't fix anything. He didn't confront Mum. He didn't explain 30 years of choosing silence over his own daughter. But it was honest. And it was the first honest thing anyone in my family had said to me since this started. I didn't reply straight away. I needed time with it. A week later, I wrote back. Dad, thank you. That means more than you know. I'm not ready to come home or pretend everything is fine, but I read your email and I'll keep reading it. Jessica. Short, careful, the door open exactly 1 inch. Not wide enough to walk through, but not locked. 6 months have passed since that Saturday at Ridgeline Estate. I got promoted. Senior engineer at the fintech company I've been with for 4 years. My manager cited clarity under pressure in the review. She didn't know the half of it. I started seeing a therapist. Not because of the wedding, because of the 32 years before it. We've been working through something she calls functional over-responsibility. The belief that if you perform well enough, sacrifice enough, carry enough, the people you love will finally see you. It's the engine that powered every contract I signed, every flight I booked, every time I said fine when I meant this hurts. I video call Auntie Avery every other Sunday. She makes coffee, I make tea, we talk for an hour. She keeps me updated on Beaumont Ridge, not to gossip, just so I'm not blindsided. Mum and Dad have paid off about $11,000 of the $38,000. They used part of their savings, the rest sits on the loan Joanna and Archer are paying down monthly. Mum hasn't called me, hasn't emailed, hasn't sent a single message. Auntie Avery says she refers to the whole situation as Jessica's reaction. I suppose that's easier than calling it what it is. I don't hate my mother. I've spent a lot of therapy hours making sure of that. But I've stopped pretending her version of love didn't hurt. It did. And pretending otherwise was costing me more than any contract ever could. I'm not telling you this story so you'll hate her either. She's flawed. She's scared. She built an image of a neat, perfect family because the real one felt like it wasn't enough. And somewhere along the line, I became the piece that didn't fit the frame. That's not an excuse, it's just what happened. But here's why I'm telling you this. Maybe you're living a version of it. Maybe you're the one who always flies 4 hours, literally or not, to show up for people who won't hold the door open for you. Maybe you're the one signing contracts, covering costs, absorbing the silence, and calling it love because you don't know what else to call it. I did that for years. I called it duty. I called it being the bigger person. I called it family. And every time I swallowed an insult or pretended the empty chair didn't bother me, I lost a little piece of myself. A boundary isn't revenge. It isn't punishment. It's the moment you say, I'm worth more than this, and then you act like it. $38,000. That's what my freedom cost. And I didn't pay a single cent of it. If you're the one who always pays, emotionally, financially, in silence, for a seat at a table that was never built for you, maybe it's time to build your own and sit at the head of it. Thank you for staying till the end of this one. It genuinely means a lot. One last question before you go. Pay or boundary? Drop it in the comments. I'll read every single one. If this story hits something real for you, hit like and subscribe. New story every week. Family, boundaries, finding your voice when the people closest to you try to silence it. And if you want more, check the description. I've linked another story I think you'll connect with. See you in the next one.